To start your dance music production project, first log into your computer using your normal username and password. Then you're going to find the app Logic Pro X. To do that, go down to the bottom of the screen and find the launch pad, which looks like a little rocket ship in a grey circle. Click on launch pad, you'll see all the apps on the computer. The one you're looking for is Logic Pro X. When you've opened it, it'll ask you what kind of project you'd like to create. You're going to create an empty project, and then you'll be presented with a screen that looks like this, asking what kind of track you want to create. We're going to choose software instrument, which is selected by default, and then press create. On our next screen, it will present us with a blank Logic page with our first instrument, which is at the moment an electric piano. We're going to start though with a drum kit. So we're going to come to the left-hand side, which is the instrument selection panel. Now we're going to use an electronic drum kit for this one to give it a real kind of dance music feel. So click on electronic drum kits. There are some sub menus here for different types of drum machine. I'm going to click on drum machine, and then you'll see a whole load of different drum machine sounds. Now you can explore these and find out what different kind of sounds they have, but let's just begin by choosing, I'm going to choose the 909. You can choose whichever one you like. Then when you've chosen it, you won't hear anything yet. It won't immediately give you a drum beat because it's going to want you to create one yourself. And here's how you do it. I'm going to go to the pencil tool. Now, if you follow my mouse, the pencil tool can be selected by going to the tool selection panel at the top of the screen in the middle just here. If I click on it, it gives me a few different options. Pointer is selected at the moment. I'm going to choose pencil tool. Let's do that. Now, I can click and give myself a drum loop. I'm going to click just in what we call the first bar, which is in this first square of the music just here under the number 1. Click that there and you'll see this little green loop appears. That is my first drum loop. Again, I'm not going to be able to hear it yet because I haven't added anything into it, but it's all there and ready for me to add some drums. If I double click on it, then this panel at the bottom will appear, which you'll see if I make it a little bit bigger, the keyboard on the left hand side. You can also see that there's some names next to it of the different types of drums. If you can't see those, there's a zoom control on the right hand side here, and you can zoom in and out, there we go, and you want to zoom in far enough so that those names appear. You can also see some numbers there, C3, C4, etc. I'm going to go all the way down to C1 because C1 is where my kick drum is. Oh, in fact, on mine it's on C2. You might find it on C2 or C1. There we go. So there's the kick drum. If you click on the keyboard, you will hear it. Now the kick drum is that really low bass drum sound that we're going to use. So I'm going to draw one of those into my drum loop. I can do that by going to the pencil tool again from this menu just here. So you can see the left click tool. If I click on it, I'm going to choose the pencil tool again from this menu, and then right in the first beat, so all the way on the left hand side of this loop down from the number 1, on the kick I'm going to draw one here. Now, I'm actually going to draw one of those on every what's called beat of the bar. Each beat of the bar appears after 4 squares. If I just zoom in slightly, you can even see that there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, and I'm going to draw that on there. And there's a slightly thicker line after every 4. You can see I've got one on the 1.3 there, and there as well. They're evenly spaced, so I've got a beat and then 3 gaps and then another one and then 3 gaps. That will give me a really nice repetitive kick drum sound like this. There we go, that's the starting point of my drum beat. It's important to make sure they're evenly spaced out and they're all contained within this loop that we've drawn. Now I'm going to add a snare drum. On your typical dance music beat, the snare drum might be on the second beat of the bar, so there's beat 1. On beat 2, there we go, which is where I put my second kick drum. I'm going to put a snare, and then I'm going to do it on beat 4 as well. So I'm going to start off by drawing my kick drums, then I'm going to add my snare drums on beats 2 and 4 of the bar, just like that. Let's have a listen and see what it sounds like. There we go. It's quite basic so far, but we're going to continue to build on it. So I've got my kick and my snare. The next step is the hi-hat. Now the hi-hat's a little bit above it. The one we're looking for is called close hat, which is a hi-hat on a drum kit with the cymbals closed. Now I'm going to put one of those on every beat. So I'm going to put one on beat 1, on beat 2, on beat 3 and on beat 4, so above all of my kick drums. And then to give it a bit more energy, I'm actually going to put it in between as well. So I'm going to put one in between the 2 here. So I'm going to miss a square, pop one there, and then I'm going to do the same here, same here, same here. You can see it looks quite ordered. I haven't got things randomly placed. I've carefully spaced them out with a square in between each one. That's going to make it sound nice and ordered, and it's important when you're designing drum beats to start off with something that's going to sound really nice and sort of ordered. Let's have a listen to it. It sounds like this. There we go, so I'm starting to get a bit of a dance music drum beat. To get a real sense of the groove, let's loop it. I'm going to come back up to my arrangement at the top here, and I'm going to click and drag just on the top right hand corner of my loop. What that will do is repeat it. There we go, I've got this repeating pattern now. Let's have a listen to my dance music beat now. There we go, so it's got a bit of a kind of a dancey groove to it, but it's still quite simple. This is what I would call the basics. And when composing a drum beat, it's a really good idea to start with the basics. Start by copying exactly what I've done to begin with. And then you can get a little bit creative. Once you've got the basics, you can try adding some more stuff in. Maybe you want to add in some other sounds. Let's see what else we've got. I've got some kind of little tom sounds there. I've got some cymbal sounds. If you go up, you'll have some other sort of interesting sounds in there as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try just sort of dotting in a few different sounds on top of the ones that I've already got. And I might even try a couple more hi-hats, maybe even another snare actually. There we go. And maybe even another kick drum there. And because I had my basics, I've added these few little extra bits in there, but because I started with the basics, hopefully this will kind of work and make sense. Let's have a little listen to it and see if it works. There we go, and you can go, okay, I like the sound of it. Maybe that high tom sounds a little bit random when it comes in, so maybe I'm actually going to move that onto a different sound. Let's move that onto a different hi-hat sound instead and have another listen. There we go, so now it's got a nice kind of groove to it. So you can customize that as much as you like. You can try taking things out, adding things in, but because you started with the basics, it's always going to have that real kind of dance drum kit sort of feel to it. The final thing you might do is, we chose that drum kit at the start. I chose the Boutique 909, but once you've made your drum beat, you can try it on a different kit and see if it sounds even better. Let's just try that now. I'm going to try it on something different and let's see what that sounds like on the Dub Smash kit. Here we go. There you go, it's got a different kind of feel, but it's the same beat. Let's try it on one more. Let's try it on the Fizzy Beats track. There we go, real kind of different feel to it, even though it's the same basic beat. As an extension, if you finish that, you can actually try making another drum beat for a different part of your song. So if I wanted to do that, let's say that beat was going to be in the intro part of my song, and then I'm going to repeat those steps again, this time with a pencil tool to draw my second beat, start in exactly the same way with the basics. So get the kick drums in, get the snare drums on top, get the hi-hats in, every 2 squares just above, and then customize it, but this time in a slightly different way. Let's try adding in a load of shakers on top of this one. Let's try adding a cymbal at the top. There we go. Let's try adding another couple of squelchy sounds in there, and then let's see what that sounds like. So I've got my first drum beat, and then I've got my second drum beat. Let's see how they sound going into each other. Here's drum beat number 1. And here comes drum beat number 2. There we go, so I've made a kind of drum beat variation as well, and you can continue that, adding in as many as you like. So your task for today is to create your drum beat, starting off with the basics and then customizing it. Good luck.